NewGenGamers.com.
Oh yeah, like the extras and the
fact that this system was able to go online in Japan. If you look on the bottom of your Nintendo, there's a little expansion slot which was never used in America, but in Japan you could get the Famicom Disk System, and you could also go online with a service that they had and do things that you wouldn't be able to do for years on the World Wide Web, such as check the news, check the weather, check the horse race results, because it was Japan, of course, and things that we would later associate with what we can do on the World Wide Web and on the internet now was done on this early internet service that Nintendo set up for the Famicom. So it had a lot of legs, and a lot of things were done with it. And with so many developers working on so many things for it, there were so many ideas generated, so many game genres that were born. As we said, the RPG, the puzzle game, the action RPG adventure type games,
the platformer,
the platform games, the simulated sports games. All of these things were not available previously. They didn't have the memory. They didn't have the system to do it. Developers went wild worldwide with this machine, and gamers went wild playing it. Everyone loved this thing, and I don't know anyone that's going to dispute that it was the best system of the time. You'd have to be the most loyal Sega or Atari fan that ever existed, and
oh, come on.
And if you'd rather play one of those systems, then go nuts.
Yes, I did that intentionally.
Ray wants his powers, 'cause Ray is going to cheat.
It's not cheating.
It's not cheating if it's designed to be there.
It's not like I'm game genieing the damn thing.
Again, it's Miyamoto's look at the world. The way I look at what he did with these types of things is almost like time warps or multi-dimensional views, really theoretical type stuff where you're looking at things that just aren't there. Because where are you going, Ray? There's nowhere to go. What are you doing? What? You mean you can go over to the right for some reason? Whoa, that whistle. What's that whistle do, Ray?
That is a warp whistle.
Warp whistle? What would you need a warp whistle for?
To warp to other worlds.
Of course! So, Shigeru Miyamoto came up with these wacky ideas in his head, and they're otherworldly. They truly are. It's multi-dimensional time warping and things that only futurists can fathom, and so really an interesting person. And this was, of course, his baby and his seminal piece on the Nintendo Entertainment System.
Yeah, this was his masterpiece for the NES.
A lot
of people will say Legend of Zelda.
It's a toss-up.
Yeah, those two were both such great games that you can't really dispute either one of them not being great. It's just, I'm not going to get into a match over what one's better.
Ray gets a card and 5 ups.
And I'm freaking insane in this game. I like finishing the game with 99 lives, but we don't have time for that.
And another thing with the pop culture aspect of what this system did, it's brought words into our vernacular like one-up. The term one-up, we use it as a common term and common phrase, but that phrase comes solely from the Nintendo Mario series. That word exists nowhere else. It does now.
Yeah, it does.
We use it, but that word came exclusively from this system. And I mentioned this with the PlayStation, and I'll also mention it with this one, because Nintendo dominated the industry, and the sign that you are the #1 console on the market is whenever people want to play video games or engage in interactive entertainment, they mention your product by name. So you played Nintendo. You went and hung out with your buddies and played Nintendo. You sat in your room and played Nintendo. You weren't playing Atari anymore.
No, you were playing Nintendo.
Everyone forgot Atari. And now everyone was playing with power. And there was no doubt about it.
Oh yeah, and the thing is that Super Mario Brothers 3 was such a huge phenomenon too, with 17 million copies, and those were all sold within 2-3 years.
The game was so big that it had a movie tie-in.
For its release.
The main selling point of the movie was that it had a trailer for this game in it, because if you watched the movie in the theater, you got the first look at this game because they'd never debuted it in public. So this was the first chance the American public got to see the design and see what was coming. So the movie The Wizard was essentially a 2-hour promo for this game. And so here's one other thing we didn't get into, and while we're on our final video here, let's go ahead and talk about it. The marketing that Nintendo brought to the table. Atari had some good marketing, but Nintendo took it to a new level with the catchphrase, "Now you're playing with power." That became very well known and synonymous with the system. As well as, we talked about the Kirby ad that we saw come along. And, of course, the best advertisement that Nintendo came up with that no other game company up to that point had thought, well, had maybe thought of, but didn't really pounce on the way Nintendo of America did. The fanzine.
That's true.
I became a Nintendo faithful because of Nintendo Power, and I'm doing what I'm doing now because of Nintendo Power. Because it was the first well put together, professionally done fan magazine for video games, exclusively run by the company. It wasn't, done by an independent source, so it was very controlled as far as what was talked about. And of course they promoted Nintendo's games, but Nintendo's games were so good that it's not like they were lying about the games being good. They could back up what they were saying, but that magazine became a great way to sell Nintendo games. Whenever you subscribed to it, you got a player's guide for a new game, so that kept you playing that game. That's a $20 value. You got all the tips and tricks. You got codes you couldn't get anywhere else. You got the latest previews. So many great things that the magazine brought to the table that helped create the video game culture. And the culture that we have in America for video games maybe wouldn't be here today without that magazine, because in Japan the video game culture was embraced much more by popular culture, but in America it's always been looked at as kind of a in the closet hobby, not something that the mainstream media really has embraced.
Mario! Mario! Mario!
He's back. All you had to do was ask. Super Mario Brothers 3 from Nintendo. Now you're playing with power.
DJ Gamers.com.